Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Katie, I am really, really excited to talk about this EP with you.
Yeah.
And I know that this was your first time listening to it.
It was.
So I discovered this album on a podcast in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
I was listening. There was a podcast. I don't even know if it's still around anymore, called the Bad Christian Podcast. And it was just a bunch of people from different Christian punk bands. And they would talk about like struggling with their faith and all that. And they had Semler on, which I believe is how it's pronounced, Semler.
I was just going to ask, yeah.
Semler is the stage name for, and again, apologies if I get any of these names wrong. Anybody who's listened to any of my podcasts, pronunciation is not a strong skill for me. But it is the stage name of Grace Baldridge, who is a non-binary alt-Christian folk artist. And the reason that they had them on the show was that when this EP, Pastor's Kid, was released in February of 2021, despite the parental advisory sticker, it reached the top of the iTunes Christian charts.
Ooh, nice.
It had actually unseated Laura Dangle's Look Up Child from the top spot, and it earned a ton of support by various figures in the Christian music industry, including Kevin Max from DC Talk, Derek Webb from Caedmon's Call, and Josh Lawrence from Need to Breathe. And a year after this EP was released, Semler was the opening act for Reliant K's tour in 2022. I want to talk about this for a few reasons. First of all, literally at the end of February, the first full-length proper studio recording from Semler was released.
Okay.
This particular album was recorded during the pandemic on a laptop with a USB microphone and nothing else. So
Really?
It's super lo-fi. And I wanted to read this quick quote before we dive into these tracks. But when Semler was interviewed on NPR, they said that they chose to categorize the album as a Christian album because I have lived a Christian life experience and my faith is still deeply important to me. There's a pluralism of beliefs within Christianity, all under that umbrella. And we know that's true, but yet when it comes to the genre of Christian music, it's very homogenous.
Well put. Very well put.
Beautifully put. And I feel like with everything happening in the political climate, I think that, this is a really important record even 4 years later from it coming out. But also, I think it's a record that a lot of people listening probably have never heard and would really love. Because I remember when this came out, I just felt like some of these lyrics spoke so true to my constant waning back and forth of what my faith actually is in like an absolutely beautiful lo-fi folky poetic kind of way. As you know, I was like, hey, I feel like we should have Marie from Napping Through Happy Hour on this episode, and unfortunately we weren't able to, but I'm sure as you were listening to this album you're like, I can see why Matt really thought that Marie would connect with the words on this record if nothing else.
100%. And, you know, like, I think we need to revisit this with a couple of our LGBTQ friends. Because it was interesting, too, because as I was listening to this album, I realized why, like, LGBTQ is so important to me. Even though I'm not part of it, it's like, just because I'm not part of it doesn't mean I can't fight for it, because it's the idea that, like, everyone can love who they love and live the way that they want to, despite all of the bullshit. And this has some really great lyrics that coincide with that. And it reminded me of when I was my good friend, I think I talked about her a long time ago. I went to Vegas to shoot a film, and then I got to see her. I hadn't seen her in like over 2 decades or something like that. And we were talking about our childhood and growing up kind of being outcast weirdos, like very much into like nerdy things that no one else was, and how everyone always thought we were gay and thus treated us that way. And I was like, oh, right. Like the youth group song, hilarious and so well done. I was like, oh, right. Yeah, people judge you despite even knowing who you are. And though like it's such a big, you know, advocacy part of like who I am and like how I see other people treated, especially by the Christian church, this was such an interesting take on the whole experience of just saying like, treat yourself kindly. So literally this came to me. I was I did merch for the band Punchline this weekend, and I was driving home from their show in New Jersey on Friday, and I had my Spotify just on shuffle, and the opening song for this Bethlehem came on. And when I got to the bridge of this, I was like, this is like jumping to the top of my list of stuff, because I knew that you would love this. So let's break down the lyrics, because this might be my favorite lyrical song out of all of them, especially, like I said, that bridge kills me.
The first song I learned spoke of Bethlehem. So is that a prophecy, or is that brainwashing?
But it opens with the line, the first song I learned spoke of Bethlehem. So is that prophecy, or is that brainwashing? Because no one ever pitched the Greek gods, and I don't know why not. I think Athena'd understand me.
I literally used to sing a song to remind myself who the Greek gods were in when we were reading the Odyssey in high school, and I would say, I ain't no Aphrodite, Athena, because Athena punches Aphrodite in the boob. So, like, this was like 100%, like, I was like, yeah, Athena's the bomb.
We get to this pre-chorus, when my chips have fallen, my Messiah came calling, but what if he'd not, would my soul just rot? And then the chorus, oh, what I'd give for just an inch of your peace, 'cause I want to fall, but I've got bruises on my knees. And they repeat that twice. And then this second verse was when I knew that I was going to enjoy this whole album when I listened to it, is they say, my dad's never cursed in his life. I asked him if he smoked, and he said twice. Well, by that standard, I'm a goddamn failure. I passed blunts the day I married my wife. And man, here we go. This whole bridge kills me. But I'm a child of God, just in case you forgot. You can cast me out every single chance that you've got, but that's not that's your loss, not mine. I'll be better than fine. You've just missed your shot to meet the unholy divine. I'm saying fuck a savior. If she can't take it, then she's small. I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I'm giving it my all. You know, the people preach now. They've been putting us through shit. And if you don't sanction that, then why are you rewarding it? You know, the missions trips are scams. They do more harm than good. You've got fame-hungry pastors making bank in Hollywood. I'm more confused than I've been. I don't think this will pass, but I'm still saying your name when I think the plane will crash. Like, that last line is like... That summed up so much of where I was during the pandemic, like that feeling of like, I don't want to deal with any of this shit. And then you're on a plane and there's turbulence, and you're just like, dear God, please
Please,
keep me
if you are there, like, please let me get through this. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, who's the first person that you call on when you're like, this might be it?
Yeah, like
You know.
But there are so many pieces in here. The mission trips are scams. They do more harm than good is one that jumps out at me. Like,
we got
oh my
fame
God.
hungry pastors making bank in Hollywood, which was like the entirety of my experience out in Los Angeles when I went to college at Azusa Pacific, and then realizing, like, you know, big preachers with big microphones and, you know, TV sets and broadcasts and all this. I was like, oh, this is like what Christianity is to people in LA. Oh.
Yeah. This episode, this is perfect as a comparison. I'm almost positive, I might be wrong actually, but I was going to say, I think this episode comes out the same day that the Righteous Gemstones season finale is. But like, that's exactly what they're talking about though. Those like billionaires living off of the donations of people who really believe in that stuff.
I mean, just coming from, sorry to interrupt you, but just coming from like a big, you know, liberal arts college in Los Angeles, where we had, you know, the big teleprompters and like the people on stage with the microphones, or like the heads, like the Britney Spears headset microphones and things like that. And I remember being like, I feel further away from any of this, watching all of these like big production type things. And that's not I mean, they've taken over like big theaters in Hollywood and stuff. And there's a lot of interesting background with those kinds of preachers and those kinds of missions.
Yeah, no, 100%. The last line that I wanted to mention, which was like the one that I think I glossed over it when I first heard this album, but last night or the other night when I was in my car, it hit me like a ton of bricks, is literally just the simplicity of the message. That's your loss, not mine, because I'll be better than fine. Like that idea of like, I don't give a shit. Kick me out. You're missing out on knowing me. Like, because I'm great. Like, and that's like the attitude that I think we, you know, obviously you and I are coming at it as two straight people, but we've had those moments where we've been outcasted, and like at a certain point you stop feeling bad about it and start to feel bad for the people who are denying your awesomeness in their life. You know what I mean?
Well, like, I mean, with that line that comes right after it, you just missed your shot to meet the unholy divine. Like, what a beautiful way to like phrase that, the unholy divine. So like, there is a piece of me that's still God oriented type of thing, but it's the unholy version according to your dogma.
Yeah. Well, and that leads into the second track. We get Jesus from Texas. Now, this is now listed. This is now listed as the Jesus from Texas demo, because on that full length that came out in February, there is a full band like studio recorded version of this, as opposed to the just sitting in front of the laptop version. But this and Bethlehem are probably my two favorite songs. Although you did mention Youth Group, which is a really great song on this too.
That's a great one.
My mom turned 18 in the 1960s.
But this opening lyric, my mom turned 18 in the 1960s and she doesn't remember Stonewall. To be fair, she couldn't have known that I'd be her kid and that the bricks launched at police would compel me to exist.
Yeah.
What? And I remember that lyric hitting me because I just learned about Stonewall at that point. Like in 2021, it was like all of these things were happening and the Black Lives Matter marches were happening, and I started buying books about the revolutions of the 60s, and really, like, I'd heard the phrase Stonewall, but I didn't truly know what that was. I just knew it was a riot that was important. Like, it was just like, you know, it's like one of those very like,
well,
you know, public school.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't, if you didn't do the research yourself, you wouldn't really know what the hell it was beyond a phrase. And like the idea of like her mom grew up as it was happening and had no memory of it. Like that's how like untalked about.
Yeah,
like just ignored it was at the time. And obviously this
which is very appropriate for this time. I mean, like, what are the sort of atrocities and things that are going on that people aren't actually talking about?
Yeah, they're just ignoring. And I love that
Yeah.
that line leads into this line. This is definitely the most political song because she says, and I think about that now down the ballad of the ones I love and I don't know yet, I voted for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like, and she, or they just repeat the line, I voted for you, and I was like that gave me chills right now. That gave me a lot of chills where I was just like, that's the one message that I feel like at least the Christian faith in America right now is not going anywhere near.
Yeah, they're not voting with that level of love or compassion at all.
Yeah.
And then the chorus of this, what a terrible honor it is to watch the sky fall as a character witness. I spent the rest of the night freaking out. I had to get high just to put myself down.
That repeated in my head a couple of times.
That's a great lyric. That's a really great lyric. But I wake up for you.
But yes, but I woke up for you. Oh, that one. I was like, oh, okay. Jesus Christ, Matt Kelly, what are you doing?
I told you. And then, this second verse, I remember when you got the chills with that line. For me, it's the last line of the second verse. It says, and I cut my hair because I'm worth it. And these days I believe in Bigfoot more than God, because who's he hurting? I grew up as a pastor's kid cleaning up after communions. I know that church is not a way to live. It's a weekly reunion.
Yeah.
My best friend found God, so we lost touch. I guess a savior beats a friend who thinks you're good enough. I hope she finds love and peace. And if her kid comes out, I hope she calls me.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That last lyric. Oof.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it just reminds me of how awfully people in the Christian faith think that they need to treat others that are not of the same
othered.
mindset, that are othered, and not only othered, but othered by the church itself, like just the conglomeration of a church, not necessarily of scripture, of the Bible, or any of that, like just what the church's overall opinion is and how they have to view another person and how they have to turn their back on them.
Yeah, 100%. We get a twist on the chorus for the end of the song. What a terrible honor it's been to learn that my blessings are the things you call sins.
Yeah.
I'll spend the rest of my life tearing down the Jesus from Texas you put in a crown, but I won't give up on you.
Fuck, dude. Like,
yeah.
You're gonna have to send me that podcast because I'm very curious about this. I texted you. This singer reminds me of was formerly named Allison Weiss, now John Allison Weiss, another LGBTQ artist who sung some really great like folk yet punk stuff, which I highly recommend, especially am I saying enough? I think that's what the name of the album is.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah. Phenomenal songwriter, phenomenal lyrics. Love their stuff when they're unplugged. I heard them on Improv for Humans, which is a show by Matt Besser. It's a comedy podcast where they basically do long form improv off of suggestions, and usually they bring in musicians and things to come in and give them some A, great new music, and B, inspiration for the next whatever scene they're doing. I love this kind of music because it is folk, but it's also very punk in a way.
It's very punk. The other thing that I really like about this song, and maybe I'm reading too deeply into it, but I think that there is a very cool trick that is happening here with the I voted for you, I woke for you, I won't give up on you, which is that I think that can take a couple different meanings within the context of the album, right? The most obvious and clear meaning is for the other LGBTQ people, maybe even one still in the closet. But I think that there's also a lens where it's also maybe about their faith and God of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to change this warped perception of what I know is who you
People make you
are
out to
and
be,
what the
yeah.
faith is. Like, because
Yeah.
I think coming off of that line, like, I'll spend the rest of my life tearing down the Jesus from Texas you put in a crown. I won't give up on you. To me, like, has that double meaning of like, I'm not giving up on the LGBTQ community, but I'm also not giving up on who Jesus is supposed to be, not
Right.
this right-wing,
Right.
like, gun-toting American version of him.
Yeah, or like receiving your crowns in heaven thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember I studied so much of the Bible in college, and then when I like came out into LA, like really as like an actor and whatnot, and everybody was talking about like, oh, but I have to earn my crowns in heaven or whatever, and I was like, what are you talking about? And it was always going back to some preacher who kind of focused on some passage that really had nothing, but they basically would turn it into like a reward system of like, when you do good, you get your crowns
Yeah.
in heaven type of thing. And I was like, what fucked up version of Jesus is
Yeah.
this being taught around so many different people? And I was like, I've read so many different versions of the text, and I was like, I just don't think that that's
The
applicable. Yeah.
No, not at all. We get a couple little like short segments. We have a segment on the next track. It's 10 seconds long, just called Queer Content for
Yeah.
Your Consideration, which is basically just a voice message recommending a Netflix
show.
before we get into Chicken. I think Chicken's probably my least favorite of the songs that are on this album, but it's still very, very good.
It's one of the first times I've seen Swerve used in a context like this, because I feel like I only know it from like you have like swerve, like there's like you do like a little swerve movement. I thought this was an interesting song because of the very beginning, where it's part of the message from before, and then it goes into the next song, but the next song is still got a little bit of that voice message, and it says anyways, but it's got a storyline, but it's all very sexual. I thought that was interesting that they kept that part on this song.
You know those sleepovers are over. You take the bed, I'll take the sofa. Heard you tell him I was just a friend from school.
Let's look at the lyrics of this, because I think I love the concept of chicken.
Yeah.
But it says, you know those sleepovers are over. You take the bed, I'll take the sofa. Heard you tell him I was just a friend from school. And all my friends ask me for love advice, which feels pretty ironic. Because every night I'm playing chicken with you.
Chicken with you.
You know I gotta swerve, and I'm built to be this hurt. But babe, no, I gotta swerve. You rev the engine first. You rev the engine first. So it's like, it seems like it's one of those, this person that she's friends with at some point in school, they had a romantic thing,
Yeah.
and now this person is hiding who they are inside. They're
Which-
pretending that they are just a super straight, never did anything, and this song's about tackling that.
Yeah, which it sounds like swerve is also like a new colloquialism, I feel like.
Yeah.
For essentially that. And
Yeah.
playing chicken with this, I understand why you're like not huge on this one, but it's also what an interesting song. Because in the second verse we've got, wasn't it all better before? Eavesdroppers broke down the doors. How did they find us? And you were gonna wonder for sure. You buried my things in the drawer. Yeah, you're gonna hide us. So God bless the ghosts inside your house, but I stripped the sheets and I'm living now.
Yeah.
The imagery that they're bringing to this is like, hey, yeah, I saw that you hid all of this. You hid all of like your feelings, like the thing that we had together that was quite amazing, but I'm stripping back all of the hidden stuff and I'm living my real truth. What are you doing?
Well, I think of, especially with that second verse, I think of you telling me even at your Christian college,
Yeah.
like your friends who were queer having to keep their relationships very secret. So
Yeah.
I'm getting this imagery of someone basically kicking in a dorm room door where they know that two people of the same gender might be doing something.
Right.
And threatening to kick them out. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Which is all very weirdly sexual, which is kind of one of my points, especially with like current Christianity, is that there's a weird emphasis on sexuality and curiosity, and instead of asking questions, it's only like providing answers instead of like, why not ask questions? Are you into this other girl? Are you like, do they provide something that like others don't? And then the imagery of all these quote-unquote good Christian kids kicking in the door just to see if they can prove whether or not this is right. It's a playing chicken within the context of this song is a really cool concept.
It's a really cool concept, and it's the perfect like setup to the next song, which we've both said we loved, which is Youth Group.
Yes.
Do you know too much about your favorite musician's pet cat? Are you maybe one of those people that just has to watch every TikTok and Instagram reel from your favorite actor? I don't know. Kind of sounds like you have a parasocial relationship. Well, if you're curious to learn more about how these kinds of relationships form and function and how we find meaning in them, you should check out the newest season of In Defense of Fandom. For Season 3 on the podcast, we'll be taking a deeper look at the relationship between creators and their fans. In the era of social media, fan conventions, and constant access to our fandom's favorite actors, parasocial relationships abound. In Season 3, we're taking a deeper look at this phenomenon, and even branching outside the world of TV. As the host, I'm especially excited to dip my toes in the world of music and fandom, so I hope you enjoyed this new season, launching April 1st. You can find In Defense of Fandom wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Geekscape Podcast Network.
Youth group lock-ins are a really strange concept that youth group leaders seem to really like.
The opening verse is so good. Youth group lock-ins are a really strange concept that youth group leaders seem to really like. It's like, let's take some repressed hormonal teenagers and put them in the church and hope they find Jesus overnight. Yep. Like, Jesus is a ghost hiding in the church, and if you stay long enough, you can find him. But in my experience, the only thing you find is your sexuality.
Yeah.
And I do have to tell you, this is not the reason why, but I will say that myself and the head of the youth group that I work at have been very open about how we refuse to do lock-ins. We absolutely refuse it.
Probably best.
Probably best. Listen, that's also part of like homeboy needs his sleep, and there is no sleep that happens.
No, unless you want like, permanent marker on your face. Yeah.
I know. It's like, it's such a nightmare. But then the chorus, this one's for the kids who had their sexual awakening at the youth group lock-in. It must have been confusing, and I hope you're doing well. Be kind to yourself. Take care of that kid. You're not what they said about you, and a loser in a button-up can't send you to hell.
That, I just started clapping. I was like, yes. Preach.
That is, I remember sending this to an old friend of mine from the youth group days when I heard that lyric, and I was like, this is going to be your favorite album of this year, I think. Every once in a while, she'll text me just that lyric, a loser in a button-up can't send you to hell.
Yeah. Profound lyric and really well done, and the fact that it was done on a USB microphone is even more.
It makes it all the better. And then after the chorus, at the youth group or at the church camp youth group, they really tried it on us. Now we're grown up and fucked up. Is there still a God we can trust? Which they repeat a couple times. If you're out there, I'm waiting. If you're out there, I'm praying. I love how much this album really I love that they decided to release this as a Christian album, because I do think that struggling with your faith is a part of
the faith,
right? And that's what this album is from front to back is going through those battles. But at the end of it, they said, no, this is a Christian record. And I do want to go on tour with a Christian artist. And I do like it wasn't.
I love that they went on tour with Relient K. That's perfect.
Which was controversial. I remember when that lineup got posted, I thought, hot damn. And people were like, how dare you? How dare you take this person on tour? Because there's always going to be people who complain about that.
Yeah, people with the Texas Jesus. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. The Jesus from Texas folks are not happy.
Of course they're not. Of course they're not, because they're not happy with their own lives, so they have to take it out on somebody else.
But then we get this little interlude called Posture.
I didn't know I was a trip to be around till the chiropractor.
Oh, I did love this, and I immediately started to sit up straighter.
I didn't know I was a trip to be around till the chiropractor said, stop looking down. You're going to feel it when you're old in your text neck. He prescribed me with a stretch that I forget. You know, I never had it easy. Like every little light was blinking in my car. I hope that someone sees me, flags me down before I get too far. Because I've been slouching since the day I turned 16. And the girl I love turned her back on me. There's something different when your friends can't relate. It makes it harder to keep your posture straight. It really feels like, I think the thing that I love about this is that from queer content for your consideration into Posture seems like all a giant story about the same person.
Yeah.
To me. Like, it feels like this voice messages from that person leading into the song about the struggle to be friends with this person because of the relationship, into Youth Group, which is probably about where the sexual awakening in the relationship started, and then landing on Posture of like, ever since this person cut me down and made me feel worthless, it's been hard to stand up straight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, the imagery, as soon as like she sings the song sings the lyric of like turning her back, and then I'm on to the next lyric, so I'm looking at the wrong lyrics.
But even that play of turning your back plus posture, like there's a nice play in that. Like
that, I mean, that's pure emotion right there. It's just like, it's turning of the back, and then I slouch since 16. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really well written, like minute long, like very quick song.
All of these songs are like very profound and very short.
Yeah, that's why I didn't feel bad when I sent it this morning. I'm like, it is 18 minutes. You'll knock this out.
Oh, I did.
The last full song is A Good Man.
This is my favorite, I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
If there's a good man in you, you killed him today, took him out for a drink, and then put him in his grave, drove him outside of town far away from his house, so when the bullet rang out, no one would hear a sound. If there's a good man in you, he's dead in the dirt. He'll be survived by the people he hurt. And they'll gather in masses for him. They will mourn the prodigal son from the day you were born. Oh, what have I become? You were your mother's son. This world is cruel, I know. I wish it spared you. In with a cry, out with a gun. Wow. That's some real like Johnny Cash type lyrics right there.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly did get a bit of a Johnny Cash like kind of folk sense to this, where it's just like, I hurt myself today, like, you know, a little of that. But it's like
in with a cry, out with a gun.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's also it's so beautifully pointed at like, hey, there is a good part of you, and you're killing that part.
Yeah.
What a great imagery, and with a gun on top of it.
We double down in the next verse. If there's a good man in you, you killed him again. You poisoned the well of someone you called a friend. I think you'd rather they hate you, but don't think they do. They're just sad you keep killing the good man in you.
Which, honestly, I think that's that's one of the things when I started to question everything and like became a little bit more agnostic as opposed to like aligning with the Christian faith is when it was like I'm seeing all this good in people who aren't professing and being Christian, but I'm also understanding where my morality and where all this stuff kind of came from. I do believe that is still within me, and that is still like a lot of that derived from the Christian faith. But I'm not discounting that, like, killing that part of myself and like completely denying anything to do with Christianity, though it be cringe. A lot of it.
I think
is
that's
killing
a
the good
lot.
man in me.
Wow, that in a single sentence sums up what this podcast is. Really, is like there are things that will always cringe us out, that we'll be embarrassed by, whether it's bands that we liked, things that we did. One of the topics I want us to do at some point, because I think it would be really fun, is praise and worship songs we still think are bangers. Because like there's a few that are like it's embarrassing, but it's like, man, there's a couple of them that I still like get caught up in the moment because they were just really good songs when you were like at the praise and worship tent.
Matt, that's a dark alley we could go down. I don't know which ones I still quote think are bangers.
Yeah.
Because I have not thought about that, but I know there's gonna be something.
Anyway.
Oh man.
The bridge of Good Man. God is my witness. I hate to see you this way, and I believe in forgiveness, but I don't know if people can change. You tell me. You tell me.
That's the beautiful part, that where it's like, I don't know if people can change, but like truly they've seen people change, but for the worse, by killing the good man in them. And this song for me was like really profound, and I was like, oh, this is exactly where I'm coming from for this whole freaking podcast, where it's like I believe in forgiveness, but I don't know if people can change, because I don't see people taking that forgiveness to heart.
Yeah, I love the end of the second verse of this, where the line is, I'm no longer on the lyrics page for it, so I'm paraphrasing briefly, but it's essentially like, you think that they hate you, but I don't think that's the case. I think they're just sad of who you've become, is basically the whole message of this song. Like the people that you've harmed for political reasons, for religious reasons, what have you.
Yeah.
And you're confident. Like, I think my parents, well, I don't want to put this on my parents, but I know that there are people out there, and my parents might not even be these people, but there are people who are Trump supporters. There are people who are diehard Republicans that they really see it as, well, all those Democrats just hate us no matter what we do. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. I don't have hatred for most Republican people, but I do. But okay. But I have, what I have more of is like disappointment and shame of like, you weren't raised to be like this. That's really what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you all it takes for, it's why I talk about why I love Christmas. I love the idea of that Scrooge moment, that any moment someone could put away all of their shittiness and be a good person. And like, as what seems to be constantly building terrible things happen every single day in our landscape. And I'm just like, it's not even hatred at this point. I'm just like, how do you not wake up and feel like you need to do something different than what you've been doing? Like, like it's,
how does that nagging voice that like brought the shame to you when you were in your deepest Christianity or your most republicanism of like what was right, how does that not nag at you by saying, why would you treat someone like this? Why would you show this side? Like, exactly. Did you just turn that question off? And that's why I keep telling my baby cousin and like all these people that I know are Trump supporters, I'm like, just keep asking questions, because the more you ask questions and the more people give you answers, the more clarity you're going to get. And when people stop answering questions, what is the reason why?
Well, and then this whole thing caps off with this closing, the outro Promised Land, that has that hypnotic, catchy, we were talking about praise and worship, has a very praise and worship chorus. I don't know who you think I am, but I belong in the Promised Land. I don't know who you think I am, but I'll be ready at the Father's hand.
I don't know who you think I am, but I belong in the promised land. I don't know who you think I am, but I'll be ready at the Father's hand. I may never know.
I feel like this kind of brings the whole journey that you go on through this album to its final conclusion, which is that our songwriter still believes in God and still believes that they are going to heaven, and fuck every person that for the last 7 tracks dared to make them question that even for a second.
I mean, what do you think the story about Jesus washing the feet of the woman of the night? You know,
listen, I have quoted one particular lyric from a rap group that I know you and I are both diehard fans of, but Run the Jewels in the song Walking in the Snow has that one lyric that's, remember in the story of Jesus, the hero is killed by the state. Like,
yeah. And that's the point. That's the point that I'm just like, how do you not see that part of it? Where I'm like, I am deconstructing. I am like kind of picking out some of the pieces that really did not serve me in the long run for my own mental health and for my own growth of Christianity. But I don't understand people who are still of the faith seeing something like that and not realizing how horrendous.
Yeah, that's what I love about this as like the capper to the album. There's verses in Promised Land, but I feel like the chorus, the repetitive chorus, is really what drives home the final thesis of that album, because it's even in the way that they say, I don't know who you think I am. Like it's very like, I've had enough, the gloves are off, stop making me feel less than.
Right, just because of your ideals.
And that's, I think that's the thesis of this entire album. Is people who are supposed to love you making you feel less than because of who you are and how you were born. And kind of this call out of like, you can still believe the thing, you can still hold space for the things that serve you in that life. And still cut away the toxicity that's also there. And I think that's kind of where I landed on my journey, where I was ready to do this podcast and was ready to do this podcast specifically with you. Is that I think we're because I think we're both in different parts of an interesting journey that is like, we grew up where we both very much believed strongly in this thing.
Right.
And have had so many questions about that thing and gone in so many different ways because of the questions brought to us by that thing. But like, I heard, oh my God, why am I blanking on the comedian's name? Pete something. So
Davidson.
Sort of.
No, not Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes said this about the preacher Rob Bell, but he said like,
yes.
When you cut these things out of your life, sometimes there's still a nagging for the good things that were during that time. And that's, I think, what this podcast is about, is like, let's re-examine these things. Are they still things that bring us joy, or do they bring us shame? And it's been a really interesting experience of like, VeggieTales, joy. McGee and Me, shame.
Lots of shame.
It's kind of it's kind of like digging up these old graves and kind of seeing like, some of these need to remain buried, and some of them, you know what, like, I could just throw on a couple episodes of VeggieTales and I think I'd feel pretty all right about it.
Of course, because everything kind of has a different meaning, and it's so funny, like seeing all these like different pieces of quote unquote art from
this
our
is
early
art.
days.
This is the most art we've ever discussed on this show.
And like as we're talking about it, I'm like, this is 100% a Christian album. This is 1 billion% a Christian album. And it's so funny, like coming from all of this very similarly, but like having, I don't know, the package ripped open in a different way for each of us.
Well, that's the thing. When this topped the charts, people were trying to act like it was, a band like Slayer just releasing an album as a Christian album to like troll people. But I'm like, no, I think at its core, this is a religious album about Christianity and about faith. And if we're going to define Christian music as music about your Christian faith, this is one of the most Christian albums I've ever listened to in my entire life.
And yeah, it comes from somebody of the LGBTQ community. And if that worries you in some way, I would say even ask yourself that question while listening to this, because I'm very straight and I freaking love this thing, and this is the most Christian thing I've heard in decades.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pete Holmes, if I can just play this real quick, I don't know. This is one of my favorite Pete Holmes bits that he talks about basically just defining who God is.
Like, my God is not an old man in the sky. It's a metaphor for a mystery that absolutely transcends all categories of human thought, including being and non-being, but that's too many words for the back of a quarter. That's Joseph Campbell. I got all the best teachers later in life. Like Barry Taylor, the road manager for AC/DC, said, God is the name of the blanket we put over the mystery to give it a shape. Shouldn't I have learned that in church? Why am I learning this from Barry Taylor, the road manager for AC/DC?
And like it's from his Netflix special, so I'll send you the link to that clip.
Please send me the clip. But yeah, I mean that's it. Like I said, when I was listening to a podcast and I heard a rabbi explain that God isn't a person in the sky, but it's the unspoken thing that connects us in nature to trees and water, and like he described it as the unspoken force that unites us and nature and everything around us. I was like, my God, why aren't we just explaining it like that? Because that I understand. Like that feeling of like when you're going on a walk on a beautiful day and you're just admiring a field of flowers and you feel like a beautiful gust of air hitting you and everything feels perfect in that moment. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, I think that's the thing, is that like we all come from so many different experiences and so many different understandings and points of view that why would we be able to actually define what God is?
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. And I think that also to get judgy, but also to get on a little bit of the concept of this album, there's an element of control there too.
Very
right?
much so.
The unspoken thing that unites us with nature isn't as scary staring down at you, threatening to send you to hell.
Right. Right. Telling you fucked up because you smoked a couple blunts with your wife.
Exactly. We had a fun little journey with a little EP that I really hope anybody listening to this show, please go check it out, and see if this artist is coming anywhere near your town. Go support, because this is, I don't know how many new albums we're ever going to talk about.
That's a good question.
On this podcast. I'm going to assume not many. Actually, it was funny. So many people were talking to me about Christian Cringe during the 2 nights that I was doing merch for Punchline.
No way.
Like people come up to me and be like, "Yeah, I love One Hit Thunder, but I'm really enjoying Christian Cringe right now."
Oh, I really
they
appreciate
grew up
that.
in the church. And the question a bunch of people have asked me are you guys going to do that Jesus animated movie that Oscar Isaac is the voice of Jesus?
What? How did I not hear about this? And okay, yeah, I think we should.
An hour and a half animated film with an all-star cast kind of is scratching a little bit of curiosity in my brain, at least.
There is a bit of an itch, and maybe somebody can get us in touch with some of those people.
Mark Hamill, come on the show and tell us about your experience.
Listen, Mark and I were just talking about how Mark Hamill and him would be fast friends, so I'm very curious. If Mark would like to come on, that would be phenomenal. But it's also making me think of like we really should cover something like Pure Flix or.
Oh, listen, we've got some people for Pure Flix. Don't you worry.
Okay. Great.
My good buddy Kyle.
I know
gotta
some
hit him
writers
up.
for that.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
I know my buddy Kyle really wants to talk about. I think it was like feature films for the whole family was the name of the company or something like that, which was like.
Yeah.
They just produce like straight to
like a
video
focus on the family
garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we'll be back with something next week. So stay tuned.
And happy Sunday.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.